I know that there's been a day in your life where you just sat there and checked stuff off of your to-do list, kind of like in zombie mode, where if you've ever seen The Dark Crystal, it's like you're just staring at the to-do list where you'd be staring at the crystal and it just sucks your life force. Well, today we're going to be talking about stopping that and planning your life and business from your intuition and not what your logical mind says you need to do. So stay tuned. Welcome to Spiritual and Ambitious. I'm your host, Whitney McNeil. I'm a certified medium and spiritual teacher, and I help spiritual and ambitious souls just like you live your life purpose through your career and attract abundance by connecting into your intuition and spirit guides. Let's get spiritual and ambitious. So before we dive in, I want to invite you to participate in our podcast review giveaway for fun prizes. All you have to do is subscribe to this podcast, give me a review, and then share it on social. Go over to messengerspirit.com/podcast review, and we'll link to it in the show notes. Now, if you listen to my episode all about spirit signs and number patterns, I told you that one of my number patterns was 9/11. Well, I just looked and it's 9/11 as I'm talking to you. So I'm going to take that as a sign. All right. I want to give a shout out to Joyfully R. Joyfully R says, I just started listening to Whitney's podcast and love it. She is very down to earth with her message, which makes it very digestible and not too woo-woo. Glad to have found her. Thank you, Joyfully R, for saying that. I love connecting with my listeners, and I really appreciate you listening each and every week. All right. With no further ado, we're going to talk about planning your life and business from your intuition. So what I want to talk about is more so looking at the tasks that you have to do every day and the tasks that you have to do through business as energy. Now, if you're listening, you're most likely a highly sensitive person. Whether you maybe claim that title or not, you're sensitive to energy. So I'm going to just invite you to think about, what if you planned your day from your energy highs and lows instead of mindlessly checking things off? When we mindlessly check things off, we waste a lot of time and energy. And so if you have a task to do at 3 p.m., but your energy would be better suited for a different task, why not rearrange it, right? I truly believe that you have to be an energetic match for the things that you are doing, because we've all been there. And if you half-ass something, it sucks. I'm going to be honest there. Why not show up fully to what it is that you want to do? So every morning I get up and I connect in and I ask Spirit for the tasks that I need to do that day. So I'm actually recording this podcast episode on a Sunday. Like, I do not work weekends, but I felt like this is what you need to do. This is when you have the best energy. Now, I actually had thought about recording this podcast episode yesterday, and I woke up and felt kind of cruddy. Like, Whitney, you've been doing a lot of big energy tasks and you just really need to rest. So I did. And I focused on what I felt energetically aligned to instead of what I had on my calendar. Now, I'm totally a fan of rearranging tasks as long as you get them done by, the deadline. Let's be real. We live in a world where we have an actual deadline for things. When you're a business owner, sure, you can move around some of the deadlines, but if you work with a team and have projects, like I got to get this podcast episode over to my editor at some point if I want it to be live on Wednesday. So for me, it's really helpful to know, hey, this is the very last time that I can do XYZ. And it gives me all this wiggle room between the beginning to the end. It's like, hey, I thought I was going to do this on Tuesday, but if I can't, I can remove it to Wednesday. I think that this way truly is best for business owners, or if you want to live your life purpose through your career. It's really important to show up as your authentic self. So if you are trying to do something and you're not feeling it 100%, it's not the best case. So talking to your guides and finding out what your energy is designed for that day and where it would best, let's say, accent the task is going to be best. So if I'm feeling really tired and kind of like, then I'm probably not going to want to record a podcast episode. My energy is going to be like, hello, everybody. How are you? And I can try to fake it, but y'all are going to know, like, you're energy sensitive. You're going to be like, what's wrong with Whitney today? Her podcast episode sounded kind of weird. Or maybe you don't even put it together, but when you listen to me, you could go, something felt weird. I don't know what it is. Well, you don't want to convey that energy to people. So really working into alignment. But I know you've already started to think, well, what about those commitments I have with clients and meetings and that kind of stuff? Well, I 100% am a person that doesn't want to be flaky. And I try to want to bust that stereotype of people that are interested in spiritual things and are quote unquote woo-woo, could be kind of flaky or ungrounded. Part of my mission is to really bring a more grounded approach to that. So I'm always super hypersensitive to want to make sure that I commit. When I commit, I do the things. But here's a couple words of wisdom around your clients and all that stuff. Now, if you're in a place where you're not feeling well or sick, or you're just totally drained and tired, I do think it would be best to reschedule. I'm one of those people where I'm like, I am not missing this appointment unless I'm really feeling bad. So that's kind of my rule of thumb. It's like, if I'm really feeling like it's going to be a disservice to my client, or it will be a disservice to the person I'm going to meet with, then I'm going to make sure that I reschedule. So I have to really balance the scales there. It's like, if I show up, will we make progress, or are we not going to make progress? If I show up for this meeting, is my brain fried, or would it be better to schedule for another day? So that's one of those indicators where I really ask that. But I also ask my spirit guides, hey, if it's for the highest and the best, can we keep the meeting? Or is there a way where you could kind of help reschedule things? And I have seen it time and time again where my spirit guides just reschedule the meetings on the books, and it just kind of magically happens the way it needs to. But there are those times where you absolutely have to show up for a meeting or whatever it is, and you still might really want to be doing something else, but you've already made that commitment. So in those times, I'll ask my guides, hey, how can I shift my energy to be in full presence for this person? And knowing that I can then do this other thing that I feel really excited for later. This happens a lot with spiritual people, especially business owners, where we love to get really excited about this idea and we feel super inspired. And when the time rolls around to do it, we're like, because we are so open to many different ideas and our attention span might be a little bit short. So let's say you're trying to plan a retreat and it's going to be 10 months from now. And then when 10 months get here, it's like, I don't know if I want to do it. Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are just like, yeah, I'm just going to cancel. To me, that's flaky. If you have committed to something and you have really told everyone you're going to do it, I truly believe you got to honor it. So that's what I'm saying is, how can I shift my energy to be in full presence, knowing that I'm never going to do this again, or knowing that I'm going to feel such relief after this is done. You created it and you felt inspired in the first place to do it. And even though your energy is now in the future, that doesn't mean that you get to just say, I'm done. Now, we all have free will, and yeah, you've got the right to do it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. What happens is business owners will end up being in the future, and we're thinking so much about the future. This happens with non-business owners too. It's just, if you're spiritual and ambitious, it's like, what am I going to do? I'm ready to do the next thing. Now I'm on to the next project. Trust in the process and bring yourself back into the present moment. When you're living each and every day in presence, that is where you can truly make the most impact, and you can truly be in alignment with the things that light you up and the things that do not light you up. So for instance, My husband will ask me, hey, what do you want for dinner tonight? And normally I say, I don't know until I'm hungry, which drives him crazy because he is a planner. Now, I'm a planner in certain aspects. I like to kind of see out into the future, see what I'm going to feel. And especially, I love planning travel. I think it's really important. But once I've planned the travel, when I'm on the trip, I'm open. And then what happens is my husband every day, what are we doing today? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just let kind of spirit happen and see what we do. So like I'll plan in advance, but I allow lots of space during the trip to make sure that we're doing what we're most aligned to. Because if I try to schedule a day where I say, hey, let's just relax today, I might have so much energy where I want to go on a hike, where I want to go see the sights. And if I've planned a day where I do want to go on a hike and see the sights, I might feel like I'm so exhausted and tired. Maybe I have travel fatigue and I need to adjust to the time zone. I don't know. I think it's really important to be in your energy. Now, one of the questions I'll get is, but if you're tuning in intuitively, can't you just tune into how you're going to feel in the future that day? Well, technically, it's possible. You're a changeable being. So when you're giving readings to somebody, the future is based on what their spirit guides can come up with. And it's based on that person's vibration rate and the choices they've made in the past. But it does not mean that we're going to be able to predict every single thing about how their energy is going to feel that day, because we have a zillion billion choices. We can choose to work late. We can choose to help somebody out. We can choose to eat certain foods. We can choose to take an opportunity to see a friend and drink lots of wine. And we may have some health stuff going on too. So really being present in the moment and taking a breath in and out to make the most aligned choices. So yes, you can kind of forecast into the future if you're really wanting to know like, hey, spirit, can I get like a roundabout timeline? Or, I feel like in July, I'm really going to be working on my book. So I'll kind of just look at the year and say, okay, intuitively, I'm kind of feeling like June's going to be a really heavy month for me, like a lot of projects. July, I think I'm going to take some time off. Then I'm going to get back into working in August. And then I'm going to do XYZ and XYZ. And I think I'll travel again in November. Like I just told you my current 2022. But you have to make room for, let's say, the unplannable, the things that spirit is going to delight and surprise you with, the opportunities they're going to bring to you that you don't know yet because they haven't quite worked out all the details. So you cannot know all the things. If you knew all the things, there would be no point in living. You would not learn lessons. You would not have choices, which would be freaking awful. So you can look at a large overview of what you would like to work on and what you're thinking, including retreats, including the offers that you have with your clients, including when you're going to raise your prices and so forth and so on. Now let's break it down. This project is going to be due by what date? So now we have a certain number of days to actually get there. Now I'm going to let myself be really open with what tasks I'm going to work on to get me there. So you can come up with the tasks, you can come up with your main goal, and then you need some space to let your body do what it needs to do. So lean into how your body feels and what your energy is in the most alignment with. I actually used to know a friend who planned his entire life like this to the point where I just didn't think he could operate it. So for instance, with meetings even, like if I wanted to say, hey, can we meet and schedule a time for me to come out to talk with you? He would actually say to me, no, but you can just show up. And if I'm here, I'm here. And if I'm not, I'm not. And I was like, no, I can't do that. And I really don't think that that's a really good way to plan your business or life. So let's have a grounded approach with the spiritual. That is who we are. We are literally physical bodies, and we are here on the earth plane, and we tend to have a finite amount of energy each day because we live in a physical body. I mean, we have energy, but that energy needs to go inward to recharge us. And then when we have replenished that, then it can go outward to give our message to the world and that kind of stuff. I think it's really important that we also make sure that we are grounded and we make space for the things that are important to us. So for making space to talk to people, to make sure that we have meetings, that's going to be important. If you want, let's say, to have your book published, which I'm working on right now, so I better make sure that I have time to meet with those people that can help make it happen, right? So that means we need to commit to days and times. That does not mean that it's set in stone. We can change and we can shift, but you've already heard my thoughts on that and how I make the shifts. All right. When I come back from this quick break, I'm going to be talking to you about how your intuition can help your business grow and your life be more abundant. This episode is sponsored by my free Spirit Guide Masterclass. Inside, you'll learn the 5 C's of Spirit Guide communication, your role with your Spirit Guides, 2 proven effective strategies to stop second guessing yourself and your intuition, and the single most important step to understand your intuitive guidance, along with 4 ways to perceive your spiritual intuitive messages. You'll also be getting a workbook to go through this class as well. You can join at messengerofspirit.com/free class. As a professional psychic medium, I've done tens of thousands of readings, but I felt a call to move more fully into teaching intuition. But I still get so many requests about doing readings. So while I don't do readings anymore, I have brought in some very trusted colleagues who are now available for live 1-hour readings on Zoom. If you would like to book your psychic medium reading, go to messengerofspirit.com/appointments to see our available readers and schedule your Zoom reading today. Thanks for listening. In this episode, we're really talking about alignment and how aligned that we can be with our business and our life. And I actually have a program with people who are seriously committed to aligning their intuition, their purpose, their abundance, their life, and their business. I work with them consistently, and we do something each week. If you want to learn more about that, you can actually jump on the wait list over at messengerofspirit.com/aligned. Okay, so we've talked about really aligning the task that you have to do with your energy. And when we follow our intuition and our energy alignment, we can grow our business and we can have a more abundant life. So let's just break this down for an example. There's been many times where I've had on my calendar those kind of tasks that we don't want to do, whether it's calling customer service or trying to figure something out that's not working on the tech side, or maybe dealing with insurance or something like that. Those tasks that don't feel good. Well, there's been many times where I've had it on my list and I might have taken the first step to call and I couldn't get through. And so I'll say to my spirit guides, hey, can you please take care of this? And I basically ask them to take care of it. And what's really great is they will get back to me and either the situation's been fixed and I didn't have to do anything, or the person calls me, or I call another day and find the right customer service representative that just takes care of everything that I need, versus spending hours on the phone and draining your life force energy. Not kidding. You know how it feels when it's just drained. Maybe get really mad, maybe get frustrated. And then all the income generating tasks that you would do in your business just fall to the wayside. You're like, I spent 2 hours on this call with this customer service agent that didn't help me at all. Or I spent an hour waiting, finally got a hold of them, and then the connection was lost. Whatever it is. That's why it's important to follow your energy and talk to your guides. And when that happens, this is one way that your business can grow, because you're actually focusing on the tasks that generate income and the tasks that your energy needs to be doing in that moment, instead of just checking the stuff off your list. Now, the same is with your life. Let's say that you were doing all those tasks when you could be spending time with your family, or you could be going outside in nature and just reveling in the abundance that the world has to offer. That's just one example. A lot of times your spirit guides will give you information. So you're using your intuition and they give you these insights and these thoughts and these ahas to do something a different way than your logical mind tells you to. Maybe you want to all of a sudden create a new offer, or maybe you want to launch a project, or maybe you have a new marketing idea for your business. And it goes against the grain of every single thing that you've ever heard before. Well, your spirit guides are basically saying to you, hey, this is really important for you to show up in this way. And you may not understand in the moment why, but one thing I'll tell you is doing something that's most in alignment with your energy is going to be key. Now, I'm all about getting out of that comfort zone. Like, that might feel a little weird. But if you're doing something as a robot, right, I'm going through the motions versus I feel super aligned with this, then your business is probably not going to grow. If you are doing something through the motions that you hate every day and you have a schedule in your personal life that you can't stand, or you don't like the people around you and you're not going to do anything about it, then chances are you're still not going to make that any better. You're not going to feel very abundant. Versus if you start saying yes to these opportunities, to these ideas, these inspirations, meeting new people in your life, right? That might still feel uncomfortable. When you say yes to those things and you start understanding that, well, yes, this feels like a perfect opportunity, but I'm just an introvert, that kind of stuff. When you bust through those limitations, then you start to see how your life becomes more abundant because you start having people in your life that are more aligned to you. And then you start to feel like you're opening up to receive. Those new people can bring you new opportunities, new ideas, new inspirations, and so forth and so on. So understanding that if we can spend 80% of our day in this place where we feel like we're living our purpose, where we feel in alignment, where we feel your energy matches the task that you have for yourself that day, then you are going to vibrate at a higher rate, like a vibration. Basically, you're going to become lighter, let's say. You're going to feel more expansive. Your energy is going to feel more energized, and you're going to feel more excited about your life, which also brings you more abundance in your business, by the way. When you're doing that, living your purpose at least 80% of the day, you are attracting opportunities that support that. So basically, if you're doing something you love, you're saying, I love this. I want more of this. Your spirit guides, the universe says, sure, here you go. Because your energy is more vibrant and you are this magnetic attractor. That 20% of your day, you might do things that it's not like you absolutely love it, but it's stuff that you have to do. So that 20% of your day, maybe you're paying bills, maybe you're making dinner. What you can do is ask yourself, what can I do to shift this energy? So paying bills, you could say, hey, I'm grateful to pay this electricity bill because it brings me air conditioning and light in the house. I'm grateful for XYZ. You can even shift that a little bit. If you don't love cooking, you could start asking different questions to yourself. How can I not cook all the time? Can I have a meal plan that helps me feel more aligned? Can I order a meal service that helps me feel more aligned? My husband and I actually will order from this place that gives you frozen healthy meals that don't have any preservatives and they're organic. And we pop them in the freezer. And when we don't feel like cooking, we can put it in the oven. So you can ask yourselves how to shift that 20% to whittle it down so that that stuff you don't love is like smaller in your life, like 5%. But if you're spending 80% of your time doing stuff that you don't love and you're just checking stuff off your list, your energy is going to be drained and tired, like talking to that customer service agent. So if your energy is drained and tired, you're not in a place to be this super attractor, to attract all the things to you. In fact, you might start attracting things that you don't love, because if you're spending most of your time doing stuff you don't love, you're probably going to attract more of that, right? But also your energy is just going to be tired. So it's almost like you're going to be shutting the door for abundance because you're like, I'm drained. I don't have time for any more stuff. I don't have time to talk to other people. I don't have time to participate in other opportunities because I'm freaking tired. So I wanted to talk about it that way so that you're understanding, oh yeah, if I'm spinning my wheels here and my energy is drained in my business and my life, that makes sense. Then I'm not going to be attracting opportunities. How can I actually feel like I'm in a place to receive when I'm drained and tired? Versus if I'm allowing myself to be more supported and energized. So if you're somebody that wants to align a bit more, I'd love for you to go to messengerspirit.com/align to learn more, jump on the wait list. I hope this episode has given you some things to think about and how you can align your intuition and energy to your life and business. Tell me what you thought about this episode over on Instagram, DM me, Messenger of Spirit, and I'll see you in the next episode. But until then, here's to staying spiritual and ambitious. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. And if you loved it, would you please share it with a friend? I would also love your review and a reminder to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me at messengerofspirit.com. And you can take the 4 Intuitive Languages quiz and find show notes there too. If you want to connect on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, you can find me at Messenger of Spirit. If you want to continue the conversation, join my free Facebook group at messengerofspirit.com/group. I'll meet you right here next week. Here's to staying spiritual and ambitious.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.